What's up, everybody? Welcome back to TFNG-Tech. My name's Will. Let's get started on today's video, which will be how to install a monoblock onto your motherboard. Now, if you don't know what a monoblock is, here is what a standard CPU cooler is. You know, it only cools the CPU. As you see, it fits just right over it perfectly and cools that. But when you're trying to overclock, the other things that you're overclocking is voltage and such like that to get those higher frequencies, which is right here with your chokes, your capacitors, and underneath these heat sinks are the VRMs. And you want to keep those cool as possible because as you up the voltage, it increases the heat, you know, etc. Increased voltage always increases heat output, okay? And with a monoblock, as you can see, this is one I have right here, very pretty, by Bitspower. I've never had a motherboard that actually had an option for this, and I didn't know this one had it when I first started this series on water cooling, so that hence why I went to the CPU block from EK, and I'm just going to use that one for a different build, but this is real easy. I had to download the instructions, obviously, from their site, etc. But this guy right here, as you can see, is going to fit over everything, cooling the chokes, the capacitors, actually look not to be touched, it looks like, from this groove right here. But the VRMs are going to be, and all the other little chips around here that help the CPU. Performance will, so keep it nice and cool. So first thing you gotta do, like I said, download the specs on this because you know a lot of manufacturers aren't giving you the manuals anymore. You have to go to their site and download to save money, and that's fine, but this is real easy to take this off. This particular motherboard, though, I got it originally because it's the Phantom Gaming X from Asrock x570, and it has extra large heat sinks for extra cooling and things like that. But since I had the monoblock option, I want to go with that. And it's RGB. It's got a nice little flow fan thing, to let you know that your water is still flowing. It's not a big deal for me, but I really am happy about this. And I'll tell you right now, this thing is heavy. So you'll need your whatever, you know, a standard kit. Like I said, I always use the iFixit kit, and I'll be using just a Phillips head and a Allen bit for these, because all the ones on the monoblock are the 4 screws that mount it to your CPU are Allen, using the Allen bit. So I already took the screws off underneath, but you just have to easily unscrew them. They're usually Phillips, and as you can see, I'm going to take this off. We'll be reusing this part. Let's see, and just take, you know, like I always say to everybody, take your time. And I already disconnected the fan. I'll plug that back in when I do finish up this and everything. And what comes with the monoblock is your thermal pads that you need for it, which is why you need the instructions. I'll have to cut one of these in half, and actually real quickly need to grab my pair of scissors I forgot about. Have that ready because I gotta cut one in half, and these two full size will just automatically, looks like they'll go right here. I have to cut them shorter, obviously, but that's about it. And then right here is where my the chips are, little chips are for the and again, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that's the VRM chips. I just know they're important to keep nice and cool to do it. Now, once you unscrew this, your passive cooling, pretty much what these are, little heat sinks. They were a little tough to get off with the thermal pads, but I will tell you, the only trick that I tell anybody to do, if you know, instead of yanking full completely straight up, and it's really giving you a hard time with thermal paste or thermal pads, all you gotta do is twist it, wiggle it really quickly. Like I said, they're giving me a little bit of issue now. They're really good thermal pads, actually. And then, yep, pops right off. And that's the thing, same thing I do with, and I'm just going to keep these right here. And like I said, the monoblock is going to cool the same things that this is doing, but now it's going to be, instead of passively relying on the fans to, the case fans to blow over these and cool, it'll be using my radiators that I'll be doing the water cooling. These will be water cooled now, and we'll see if I get better temps. Not 100% sure. I did write down what my temps were for my GPU and CPU, so we will see, but at least it will be more stable, more consistent temperature control instead of air, where you'll see spikes a lot of times, like when you're bench testing and things like that, with temperatures and such, or performance, just because, you know, the air had to go through the air cooler. And I have just seen with water cooling, it is just more consistent because it's always constantly flowing, unless there's like a hiccup of the pump, an air bubble, or there's some blockage somewhere that just all of a sudden happened, then you'll see a spike and such. But yep, let's see. Now they did give me these little sticky little O-rings to put right here where the holes go, where this is going to be going on to, but I really don't like those. I actually have simple PC screw kit. It just has your simple fan and fan screws and motherboard screws and such, and it gives you the little these little cushion O-rings, like little gasket things almost. And I'm going to use those instead. Now, it's going to be a little difficult because, you know, a lot of people do this while it's sideways in the case, but kind of didn't want, I preferred, it's a little easier, but yeah, the thing's heavy. But number one thing you've got to remember before you even start, and, you know, even place this on, you can check it and everything, you know, to make sure everything fits right. But do not forget to remove this little plastic cover. It says even here, warning, please peel this label off before you use it, or before use, sorry. If you don't, you're gonna have temperature issues, and that's probably gonna melt. But it's very nice and polished. I'm really excited about this, and I've already gotten there per the instructions how they want the back pad. It's a metal backing, which the screws are going to go through that. Then there's some 3M sticky, I guess it's not double-sided, but I already got that taken care of. And then this is a nice little rubber backing to go against your board to keep it nice and safe. And I believe how I'm going to do this is I'm going to move the motherboard over, and again, you can do it any way you want to. I just want to do it quick. I want to show you all what the difference is. It's beautiful, and how it looks in the end. I mean, you just have to figure out what works best for your setup. And I already know where the holes are for this. I'm just going to put the screws through just so I can make sure I have it lined up. It might not work that well, actually, thinking about it. I might actually have to go sideways, but yeah, it's going to be a pain. And I might do the motherboard ones last. I'm going to get these screws ready. And obviously, before I even do anything, I can, just looking at it, as you see right here, these are the chokes, these are the VRM chips, power phase chips, etc. I know they're very important. Right. And I can actually just cut them to size and technically lay them on, or they actually have indentions here on them. So just like I did in ThermoPad videos, just do that. Gonna cut it. I cut a little longer, obviously, just to be on the safe side, and it is actually perfectly cut this in half to make that, and that should cover 2 spots. And like I said before in the other videos, how I've always done this is I place it on the chips, not the cooler, to make sure it seats in there. You know, you can push down nice and easy and just make sure it's nice and seated, getting good contact before you do put on your cooler. And just make sure with the length you cut, it doesn't cover in the holes, obviously. You don't want that. And these are actually these look decent, unlike, you know, what we've seen with the Gigabytes crappy oil leaking ones. These still look like they're not going to do that. And if I start noticing they do, I know that these are 1.5 millimeter. I'll order some Thermal Grizzly 1.5 millimeter to replace it. Yep, that looks good. And then, like I said, I know it covers this, and I can see an indicator here. And then let's see. Yep, and this openings right here are literally for the capacitors, so they and such. And yes, I know that thud. It's a metal desk, so bear with me a moment. Double check the length. Yep. Got a little closer than I normally did, actually. Than I normally do, but I do have an extra piece if I don't like that. And as I probably said in a couple of other videos, maybe, putting your fingers on thermal grease, there was a comment about that. Yeah, that's not that's nothing to worry about, okay? You're not contaminating these pads. You don't have to wear gloves. If you want to, sure. If you don't, that's fine. I don't. And just remember, it will spread a little bit when you when we get the block on there. And alright, and then I'll show you how it looks. Obviously, I want to pre-test this anyways, but I mean, how cool is that going to be right there? Kind of wish it matched the black, you know. I could always paint this black to match up, but I'm not going to stress out about it too much. And honestly, I don't even think I need this, because you already have metal going on there. These right here, you know, it's really a precautionary thing. It's already got, this has an extra layer of protective, which is one reason I got this. And man, my motherboard is heavy now. So, looks like I can start these, and just gotta make sure I line up everything first. And I really don't know what the difference is with this right here. It might be for these holes. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna have to use them, but I don't know what the notch is for. But all I saw was in the instructions, okay, that it was going facing down, I guess you would say, yeah, down towards the bottom of the motherboard. So I'm gonna just go by that picture. And this is awkward. All right, I'm gonna nicely just do that. Make sure I'm not putting too much stress, but it looks like it's doing okay. I just wanna make sure but and the pads look to be fitting where the lines are. Just going to adjust them a little bit. I mean, they did come off with this, yeah, I know. And I was saying to make sure, I'm actually going to, I'm not going to put them back down. Like I said, a lot of people say to do it on the chips, but with this, this is going to have, it has 7 screws to get the, get the pressure down, and it's I'm not going to keep taking off and on while I'm messing around with it, but I got to do the thermal paste, obviously. And I have used many different designs, however you want. I do the X pattern. That has just been my go-to for the last 5 years, probably. You can do the big blob in the center. It will do fine with the Ryzens. And I also did the 5 dot for like the dice roll, like a little star. I've done that also, but the X has just been the one to always just be my successful and easy, and I just go from end to end. And the sad part is if you have temp issues, make sure you're doing it. You can also just do honestly, the best way that I first used to always do it was use a little cheap old credit card or something and do it, or get an actual spreader and spread it evenly around. It really, it's a 1 to 2 Celsius difference. To be honest, it's not a huge difference. As long as you're getting good thermal paste in there to make good contact, it will be fine. But in a minute, because I'm going to be struggling for a minute, I don't want to waste your all's time watching this part. I'm going to struggle a little bit getting this mounted and show you the final results in just a moment. I'll show you what to make sure you do before you put this back on, but this one I got to figure out. So in a few minutes, well, actually in a few minutes I'll be done, but it'll be a second for you. So be right back. All right, and we're back. So it took me a little longer, but I did figure out how to get this going. So I'll explain how I did it. You got the 4 screws that go into that backing plate I told you about, just like it would be for just like this, where the 4 holes are, like on this CPU block. Okay. What I did first was these top 2 ones right here. There's 2 screws here. That I had to use, and I just came over here, popped in the 2 screws to hold this in place, put my hand on like this, and nicely, actually, let's see right there, just made sure clearance and did that, and then lined up the holes. The holes actually were perfect, so I was using those 2 top screws were holding it in place and everything. I just had to adjust the back plate and everything to make sure these screws fit in, and then finish the other 3, well, the other 2 technically right here, and now we have that. I will tell you right now though, I am happy that, as you can see, I got this one because it has the reinforcing, so for any heavy CPU coolers, the big fan ones, or the new GP 3000 series are huge and heavy. And now that I have this, having that back plate is help so the motherboard doesn't flex when it's installed on the case and such. So longevity. And then the last thing I've got to do is put back the I/O shield and the nice RGB that it came with, and I'm going to take it apart. It's just 2 little plastic hooks, so be careful if when you're doing this on taking this part off. These, like right now, it's a little stuck, but you just have to push it in and take it out, and you do this first. I'm going to just hold it, and it has 2 little snap parts right there. And I've got the 2 little screws to put in. Actually, let's see. Yeah, is that right? Try your best to remember what screw went where. It is always a hassle, but they're all the same thread. It's just I try to keep it the same. And yep, just made that life difficult not being prepared because I had the Allen wrench one. So I'm going to make sure it has, and use something to raise it up a little bit just because, you know, this, so you don't mess up your ports like I did. Or if you do that way, I will tell you, I would take the motherboard out in order to do this, because in a case, and actually I know that's the wrong screws. These are them. And actually I did use the wrong screws, because that's nothing right. It's those big, fatter head ones, which is a pain because this magnetic screw is not working. So apologize for that, everybody. But yeah, all you gotta do is reverse back what you did. You know how you took it apart. Separate your screws like I did over here. I got 4 little spots. This is the, if I haven't mentioned in my other videos, this finally came in, the Volt mod mat from Gamers Nexus. So with all my builds, I don't have to worry about anything anymore. And you have to flip this over, or have to flip it back over again in a minute. But all I'm going to do is make sure that I plug in first the RGB, because I want my RGB, obviously, or unicorn puke, as my daughter says. Her and I make a laugh about that. And it is not easy to get in because I have sausage fingers. Most men will understand that. Ladies, that's why we need you around, and I use my daughter all the time. You're also good for other great things, obviously. We love y'all, okay? But y'all have tiny arms and fingers, skinny fingers, and it's great. Gonna, like I said, flip it over again, and there are 4 more screws, or 3 more screws to do to hold this in place. Like I said, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on anything because obviously you don't want to do that. That's bad. But now I shouldn't have to hold on to it very much because of that. And there we go. So to push up on that one so that it would hit. And you don't have to do this very tight. Obviously, it's plastic, okay. This is metal, but this housing, the other housing for the RGB is. So this holds, gets us all lined up, and there we go. So here is the final results. I think it's really cool. I mean, I loved that heat sink and everything, and how it filled in and covered everything up, but man, that looks awesome. So next video is going to be prepping and showing you how to figure out where you want it. You know, we did the whole thing about preparing video, you know, get a generalization, but now we're going to get the motherboard in, everything wired up, get the radiators and fans in, everything wired up, and making sure that a lot of the fittings line up to make it, I'll explain like certain ways to make sure, you know, how to make it easier for you, and the pump placement, etc. So to stay tuned for that. That should be in a couple of days, but have a great night, and I'll talk to y'all later.